Hey, everybody out there, and welcome to the State of Joe. I'm Joe Santiago. The book begins in New York City in early November. Characters that are in the book are in a panicked outrage following the election of an enormously opposed outsider candidate. The entire East Side is in a state of uproar. Police officers shouted through the streets, warning folk to stay indoors for the night. Mobs of vast size are organizing under the lead of anarchists and socialists, and threaten to plunder and despoil the houses of the rich who have wronged and oppressed them for so many years. The man who won the presidency was highly wealthy and lived on Fifth Avenue in New York City. Trump Tower just happens to be also located on Fifth Avenue in New York City. Is this all starting to sound familiar now? One of the first people he chooses for his cabinet after this man in the book becomes president is a man named Pence. Not Mike Pence, but his first name is spelled Lafe, pronounced Laugh or Laugh Pence. Some people say Lafe Pence, but it's Laugh Pence. That's how it's pronounced. Now, some would say, is this some book about the first 4 years of a Trump presidency? Well, no. This whole plot is from a novel written way back in the year of 1896 and is ironically called The Last President, also titled 1900, written by Ingersoll Lockwood, who was a New York lawyer, political writer, and novelist. The rabbit hole gets deeper, however, as Lockwood's book, published 3 years earlier in 1893, the book's title is Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. President Trump's son's name is spelled with 2 R's, not 1 R like the Lockwood novels, however. The Baron Trump book has a story about a boy who finds a secret portal and time travels. Trump's adventures begin in Russia, of course, where else, and are guided thanks to directions provided by the book says, the master of all masters, a man that's simply named Don in the book. Before leaving his voyage through the unknown, Trump is told of his family motto. The pathway to glory is strewn with pitfalls and danger. So there is a following of people out there on these books, and there are other books in the Baron Trump series, some with his dog Bulger along for the adventures. These people that subscribe to the book theory believe that Donald Trump and his family time traveled from a distant time to the current day with the goal of ruling over the United States. Donald Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, an electrical engineer from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, and he ended up teaching in direct research for 3 decades after World War II. He directed the MIT High Voltage Research Laboratory from 1946 to 1980. John Trump was in charge of evaluating the papers left only weeks after Tesla was found dead. The FBI had him do it because he was trusted by them, as he was influential in the development of radar and short-wave radio equipment in World War II. He also co-founded the well-known High Voltage Engineering Corporation, or HVEC, with Robert Van de Graaff, which his name is on the invention him and Trump created, known as the Van de Graaff generator. In the early 1930s, it's a type of high-voltage electrostatic generator that serves as a type of particle accelerator. So after John Trump reviewed the Tesla papers, he had determined it was primarily of a speculative, philosophical, and promotional character, and he said the papers did not include new sound, workable principles or methods for realizing such results. This was all done by the US government, who moved quickly under the Office of Alien Property Custodian. It was an office within the US government during World War I and again during World War II. The office was created in 1917 by executive order signed by President Woodrow Wilson to assume control and dispose of enemy-owned property in the United States and its possessions, so they, in theory, don't fall into foreign hands and pose a threat to the United States. When Tesla's nephew was attempting to get some personal items, they eventually accepted the family's requests. They got some of his personal items. After a long court battle, Tesla's nephew, Sava Kosanovic, was finally given his uncle's belongings. Tesla's possessions and files were sent to Belgrade, Serbia. Interestingly, of the 80 trunks or so of Tesla's effects, only 60 arrived in Belgrade. Whether or not the US government had kept some of the information effects, or possibly John Trump ended up with them, is still a mystery today. Tesla made claims about building a death ray and electrostatic walls of energy that could protect a country from attack. Tesla was the author of at least 300 patents. Some people say way more, but some people saying close to like 1,000 or 1,000 patents in 5 continents. Among his inventions was a revolutionary disc-shaped aircraft flying saucer, which he allegedly applied for a patent in the early 1900s, but it was not granted on national security grounds. He said the saucer would be remotely powered by a world wireless system, which he first discussed in a March 5th, 1904 paper titled The Transmission of Electric Energy Without Wires. He went on to say this wireless system would be powered by devices similar to his legendary Wardenclyffe Tower, which he was going to use to actually power New York City with power. It had a lot of potential, but it was torn down eventually, suspiciously torn down and everything, so it didn't work out. But and this tower, which could be eventually capable of generating huge electrostatic charges that surpass that found in lightning bolts. In 1937, while Tesla was living at the New Yorker hotel where he died, a New York inventor, Otis Carr, claims that he befriended Tesla and was instructed by Tesla on how to build a flying saucer that would be powered by an electric generator. Over a decade later, Carr succeeded in getting a patent for his revolutionary flying saucer craft, which he called an amusement park device in order to get it approved by the U.S. Trade and Patent Office. He raised the private funding to build his OTC-XI. He successfully tested his flying saucer in 1961. One of Carr's former employees, Ralph Ring, said the saucer incorporated high-voltage machines for its propulsion and navigation systems. Unfortunately, Ring also told of how Otis Carr's manufacturing facility was raided and closed down by federal agents on bogus charges of securities fraud. Securities fraud. If we take Carr and Ring's stories to be true, that means it was Tesla's spacecraft that was built and tested in 1961 by Carr. And that leads to the question, were any ideas or instructions on how to build a flying saucer found in Tesla's personal papers that Dr. John G. Trump went through after his death? Still, Trump said he found nothing of importance, or he may have been instructed by higher military authorities to cover up what was found in his report to the FBI. The FBI obviously considered Trump as an expert who could give recommendations concerning revolutionary technologies, some of which concerned flying saucers. And the FBI and U.S. military were secretly studying what was retrieved at Roswell on July 8, 1947, along with other crash sites. Van de Graaff generators, which Professor John Trump specialized in at MIT, and these Van de Graaff generators were a key component of flying saucer research that was being secretly conducted in Nazi Germany. Not to mention the leaked military security classification Majestic document called the White Hot Report. Major General Nathan Twining in the document talks about the need to set up a permanent committee to evaluate the Roswell crash. Given the security issues surrounding extraterrestrial visitation and their highly advanced technologies, the report gives a list of scientific institutions involved in the study of extraterrestrial artifacts. MIT is prominently listed among them, which links the institution where Professor Trump worked. Nikola Tesla, before he died in 1943, he claimed to have built a time machine, which John Trump may have had access to. Tesla's inventions in the papers and things that were gone through by Trump's uncle. And Trump's uncle did leave some things to his favorite nephew, Donald. So maybe the time machine or directions on how to make a time machine was in his possession. So with his uncle's findings, he could complete what John Trump had started. The Federation of American Scientists, a nonpartisan think tank, by their Freedom of Information requests filed, and inside of those documents show that the overall number of secrecy orders has steadily climbed in recent years, totaling more than 5,784 secret U.S. patents that Americans can't see, with some that have been in effect for decades, up to 484 secret patents since 2012. Could it be that Tesla's inventions, built or not built, posed a possible threat to our way of life and the reality in our goods and services economic system that we operate in? With inventions like free energy to wirelessly provide the world with electricity, he claimed using radiant energy from the sun can give us the power we need. He was also on the cutting edge with both weather and geoengineering, with inventions like the earthquake machine. It's what is called the electromechanical oscillator. It's a steam-powered electric generator patented in 1893. He claimed later in life that a version of the oscillator caused an earthquake in New York City in 1898. He was suggesting we use 30 tons of nitroglycerin compound to cause a tidal wave to form. He was claiming the blast would cause 100-foot waves a mile away to drown out enemy naval forces. Or did Tesla's inventions just pretty much force the government to take control of them and most likely advance them more than Tesla could possibly dream of? I'm banking on the latter. For example, an invention that would be perfect for foolproof police, military, or government interrogations. In the 1930s, Tesla had imagined a projector movie camera looking device that would allow one to project a mental image in real life and play back your thoughts like a slideshow. He suggested if you had a mental image, your body would also produce a corresponding retinal image, which could be photographed and projected onto a viewing screen. But the invention didn't work out as Tesla hoped. Then there is the newly declassified FBI document known as the Interplanetary Newsletter, written on June 14th, 1957, seems to suggest, as Tesla did many radio transmissions towards the later parts of his career, he was said to be in contact with aliens from Venus, which it was outrageous claims like these that got him blacklisted from among the list of the great innovators. Perhaps the world just wasn't ready for Nikola Tesla at that period, at that time. The FBI document says, the space people have visited the Tesla engineers many times and have told us, the FBI apparently has been told, that Tesla was a Venusian from Venus, brought to this planet as a baby in 1856 and left with Mr. and Mrs. Tesla. Apparently, baby Tesla was left on the Tesla's doorstep in a remote mountain province in what is now Yugoslavia. Retrocausality, or backwards causation, is a concept of cause and effect, in which an effect precedes its cause in time, and so a later event affects an earlier one. In quantum physics, the distinction between cause and effect is not made at the most fundamental level, and so time symmetric systems can be viewed as causal or retrocausal. Philosophical considerations of time travel often address the same issues as retrocausality, as do treatments of the subject in fiction. But the two phenomena are distinct. So, a word to the wise: be careful what you said and did in the past. Say and do in the present will affect what you are able to do and say in the future. And it can always come back to bite you in a later time. Well, this is just a little delve into some theories and different things that are flying around about Tesla and Trump and, the existence of a time machine, the book that was written in 1896 there, and all this crazy, these coincidences, as they're called. Hey, I'm open-minded. This stuff could very well, a version of this or different, with certain things left out of the story that we don't know, because the FBI, the government, with John Trump and all that stuff that was involved, and all the stuff that they know, They're not going to tell us everything because we don't need to know. That's why they're not going to tell us. We're not important enough to know, really. And if they did tell us about these things, it could cause a panic and an up, everybody would go crazy in the public, and they would start doing crazy things. So yeah, it's possible for past things to affect future things, and the timelines. You got the past, the present, and the future. They sometimes intertwine, and they affect each other, and vice versa, backwards, forward. Time is a very important thing. It controls everything. It controls everything we do, and there's so much we don't know about time and how it works. Of course, God says, 1,000 days is like a day to him because he's that it's no big deal. It's he doesn't operate under the laws of physics and time as we do. He is at a whole nother level of physics and reality than we are. We can tap into these things, people think, with meditation and different things. There's different substances you could take to get into a meditative state that shamans use from plants and different things. There's all kinds of stuff you could take to go on a mental trip, or a place where you could. Some people say they go into places where they contact other beings, other creatures and beings, usually dressed in robes, and there's they supposedly are like the council of this these people, or some people think they're like alien looking beings and stuff. Well, they know a lot of stuff, and they seem to be able to know what they're talking about with things. And when people do tap into these other realities and these beings, and so there's a lot we don't know, and I'm sure we'll find out more. I think that's the big thing that humans are going to get into now. We're figuring out life, the Big Bang. We're getting up into space, so we're the heavens, and we're investigating all that. We're starting to look into the possibility of like underground. All these stories about the underground and different things. There's books and different stories about how races have gone underground. Well, why did they go underground? Well, it's like over in the Mideast, in certain parts where there's this glass rock type material, and it's everywhere, and you could see little holes, like things, like basically a nuclear blast, or maybe caused by a giant asteroid or something we don't understand. Maybe there was a nuclear blast in the past. The story of Lot, Abraham's nephew, they went to Sodom and Gomorrah, and to get his wife, and all that, and then the angels that were there with him said, "Don't look back." Well, Lot's wife looked back. She was turned into a pillar of salt. But this could be all describing like God used either a natural means or a supernatural means of a nuclear attack to destroy these cities that were to the point of no return, basically, in sexual perverseness. And, okay, so they think it had to do with like homosexuals and stuff. Well, it could have just been like a free romp of society where sex was just a thing where you did, and with whoever and whenever and in front of, out in the open, whatever. We don't know a lot of these things, but who knows? But things are getting crazy, and who knows? Maybe there is a time machine out there. There was, um, you know, it's possible that Tesla and other people, you know, might have possessed or instructions on how to do this stuff. So don't count out the impossible, because what we see as impossible is just a formula and a different way of finding out what's going on. Just like with the coronavirus, there's a formula, there's something, there's pieces of information we have to figure out to get to the bottom of all this stuff. And hopefully we can do it. But yeah, so I thought this was good to get into, something to talk about, another mystery that is just very cool and just interesting to talk about, I think. But hope you enjoyed it, and just if you have any questions, questioning anything, hey, research it. Go find out for yourself. See what people are saying. See what theories say. See what experts say. See what whoever says. And come up with your own conclusions, of course, and make your own decisions on it. So that's today's message. I hope everybody's doing good and braving through all this, and I just hope everything's all right and we can get through this stage where we're kind of stuck in right now. Seems like we're not advancing that much at all, and like my last video said, we have to use our technology to get us up to speed and positive ways to help us. But anyway, I hope everything's good out there. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay diligent, and use everything in your means to make a difference and help each other out and get us through these trying times. Thank you very much. Please feel free to subscribe, comment, like, share, whatever you want to do with this stuff. As I get more and more videos, maybe we could spread it out a little more and get other people to hear it. And I'm hoping to spread out the info more and get people thinking on these things, because this is things I think about, and that's why I started this channel, because like I was saying these kind of things in everyday conversation, it was kind of getting in the way at work. I was bringing things up. Sometimes they would get distracted from work. I can't always bring that up, so I said, well, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel and I'm gonna talk about this stuff, because I can't just bother my wife with it, or people I talk to, or friends and family. So I just said, oh, I'm going to do it. And that's what you got to do. If you want to do something, make a change and something you want to do, just go do it. You can do it. So keep the faith and be strong out there, and be smart, and take it easy. And thanks for listening. And as always, just keep that faith, and peace out.